Hello and a very warm welcome to today's LinkAbility Insights live stream. I'm your host, Lynnaire Johnston. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, you might be a bit like me because LinkedIn feels different right now. Reaches down, fake profiles seem to be everywhere, and so much of what we see is either AI generated or artificially boosted by engagement pods. It's no wonder people are losing trust in the platform, and some are even leaving for spaces like Substack. But here's the point. Chasing the algorithm won't fix this. We can't control it. What we can control is how we show up and the relationships we build. Visibility that lasts comes from trust, authenticity, and genuine human connection. That's why today's conversation matters. Before I introduce our guests and tell you a little bit about why we're discussing this today, a bit of housekeeping. In the comments, you'll find our team member, Chef Ferguson, our connector-in-chief, Meryl Cass. Always lovely to see you, Meryl. And we welcome your comments and questions. Please just pop them into the chat. We'll pick those up, put some of them on the screen, and we will also answer your questions once we've had our discussion. Now, our guests today are Roy Kowalski, first of all, and Roy's from Sydney. He's a product branding disruptor and the owner of Out There Branding. Roy's famous for his Saturday Bondi Beach videos. If you haven't seen them, you're missing out. And his company supplied the media wall you see behind me. Now, I mentioned this on my last live stream, and since then we've had fun playing with the green screen, which is on the other side of this unit, because this is a stretch pop-up display stands or SPUDs, and it's got two sides to it. So we'll pop a link to the information about it in the comments, because if you're sick of using those awful virtual backdrops, this is your solution. Our second guest today is Sigrid de Cast. Sigrid is a marketing and visibility strategist from Brisbane. She offers online global expos of impact and online global business networking membership, which I am getting really good value from. Both Roy and Sigrid are members of my LinkAbility members community. Our third guest today is Felipe Cofino, who's based in Washington, D.C. and is a LinkedIn top voice. He's a human resources executive who emphasizes the human in HR, is an international best-selling author and an executive recruiter and coach. It's the first time Felipe has joined us, so we're really grateful that they are here with us today. Before I bring them on the stage, though, let me tell you why we're talking about this topic today. Over the past year, many of us have felt increasingly frustrated with LinkedIn. Reach is lower than ever. We spend time creating thoughtful posts only to see them vanish with a handful of views or comments. At the same time, fake profiles seem to be everywhere, making it harder to know who's real. And even when the accounts are genuine, the rise of AI-generated content has blurred the line between authentic voices and machine-made filler. Add to that the growth of engagement pods where visibility is manufactured rather than earned, and the result is a platform where trust and authenticity are under real pressure. For some, the response has been to leave altogether. Substack seems to be increasingly popular, and they're building communities elsewhere too. But for those of us who want to stay and make LinkedIn work, there has to be another path, because here's the truth: we can't control the algorithm. No matter how much we try to optimize or second guess it, it will always shift under our feet. And when visibility depends on something we can't influence, that's not strategy, it's a gamble. What we can control is how we show up and who we build relationships with. Real relationships based on trust, generosity, and consistency outlast algorithm changes, fake profiles, or AI generated noise. They're the one constant that cuts through. That's why this conversation matters today. The only way forward is to focus less on chasing algorithms and more on building genuine relationships, because in the end, that's what leads to visibility, credibility, and opportunities that last. So, Roy, Sigrid, Felipe, and I are going to discuss relationship building and the lessons that can be learned from developing closer ties with our network here. We welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to start with asking about offline networking. So Roy Kowalski is a very strong BNI supporter. He's been in and BNI for years, and he is very highly regarded. So Roy, I'd like you to start, if you wouldn't mind, by telling us when you walk into a room of strangers, how do you begin building trust? And how can we apply that same principle on LinkedIn? My guess is that you don't walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, I'm Roy. Would you like to buy one of my spuds?"
I normally lead with that, actually.
Oh,
what
dear.
I do is I walk in the room and I say, here are my business cards. I'm here to sell you. Please, can you place your orders now before I get to you?
I
Not.
imagine that works so well.
I never finished the sentence. I said not at the end. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me as a guest to your show. And I suppose I have got a little bit of credibility in the BNI world. I've been in the top 20 in Australia for 38 consecutive times. So I suppose that's a bit of credibility.
Sure is.
So when I enter a room of new people, I have two things that I want to come away with. Number one is I want to have deeper conversations rather than wider conversations. And I want to have less conversations, but better conversations. And what does all that mean? It means that instead of arriving back home with 100 business cards that I've no idea who they are, I would rather arrive back with 5 business cards that I've had conversations with 5 people and I can remember everything about the conversations. So that's my most important, aspect when I go into a room filled with strangers. I find like-minded people and I have better conversations with fewer people.
And how do you apply that particular principle to LinkedIn, Roy?
Not much difference, strangely enough. So I'm always on the lookout to connect with like-minded people. I look out, and now that we all know that engagement is down, it's no different. So again, I go deeper rather than wider. So I look for the kind of things is I look for who do I want to be connected with. Um, who's in my sphere of area that I can build decent relationship. What's the purpose of me? And I'm just using a stupid example here. What's the purpose of me building a new relationship with the dentist that's based in Atlanta? What is the benefit of that? But I'll tell you what is of benefit is the managing director of ABC company that I could possibly do business with. So I would rather go, and I use a phrase that I've used so often is show people how interested you are in them before telling them how interesting you are, and that's a mantra that I live by in BNI, in networking, and on LinkedIn.
Well, that makes a great deal of sense to me. So thank you for starting that. And I want to just point out to people that one of the things that Roy often does is when he connects to somebody for the first time, he follows his original connection invite message up with a video, a personalized video. Now, I'm sure if I was asked you to put up your hand in the comments if you have received in the last month a personalized video from a brand new connection, there would be a deafening silence because that is one strategy that I think, Roy, that you've got nailed, which works really well and that most of the rest of us could learn a great deal from. So continue to do that because I think it's something that sets you apart. So Sigrid, you have just recently set up an online networking group where people from all over the world can get together and learn about each other. So in a way, it's BNI, but on LinkedIn and Zoom because you do it as a combination. So that's relatively new, but I want to ask about how that is working for the people, of which I am one, in terms of building relationships. And before you answer that, let me just tell you, I've already had a conversation about collaborating with one of the people in your networking group. And she and I had a great conversation about AI and what's going on in the world and really established that kind of personal relationship before we started talking about collaboration. So are you getting the same kind of feedback from other people in your membership group? And can you just explain how it works?
Absolutely. Thank you. So it's great to be here because networking is a big thing. And I absolutely am a supporter and have been a member of the BNI network myself, like Roy has been much longer, of course. And I think the idea has sort of evolved from that, from my early experiences when I was physically traveling around the world, connecting with people through that networking system, and taking it online, particularly into LinkedIn, to me just makes so much sense. So people have created those instant communications and collaborations already from the few times that we've had these meetings so far. In saying that, I did do this format already last year, sort of like not really a trial, but it was an idea I had at the time, and I've taken it into a full membership. The reason for that, of course, is consistency and commitment are important in networking. I think Roy's already touched on that. You've got to create the relationship, and you create a relationship much more when you are consistently and are committed to being there over and over again, and committed to wanting to get to know the other person. So always look at what is the other person looking for? Where are they? What are their gifts to the world or for you to support them? And a support can be as simple as writing a post about their work, what they do, where they are, something as simple as that, especially on LinkedIn. What I love about the LinkedIn opportunity is that at this point in time, the lives, like we're doing right now, are supported by LinkedIn. LinkedIn does put through the feed. There's a live going on by Lynnaire, for example, right now. So people can see that, can jump on right there and then if they wanted to. You get the event set up initially where you can invite your entire network, and each person who participates in that live invites their network, or as many as they can from their network. So you have this massive opportunity from the whole billions of people that are on LinkedIn to bring them to view your live. And that is what the networking that I'm offering in a membership is all about. So come in initially, experience what it is like, jump on there, and I do offer in the background, of course, in the membership, all the tips and tools that I have experienced ever since I first started networking myself, and show you how to present yourself, what to say, how to best promote yourself without promoting yourself, without that being salesy thing. So now I have completely forgotten what your question was. Did I answer it?
The question, so I think very nicely done. I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that, who starts out to answer a question and gets entirely sidetracked and forgets exactly what it was I was supposed to be talking about. My trick for that, Sigrid, is to keep talking until I remembered what the question is.
Yes, actually, that is a good strategy.
Felipe, this is your first time joining our LinkAbility Insights live stream, so a very warm welcome to you. Particularly, I've been on other events with you, and I've been very impressed with the insights that you have shared with the audience. So you are coming from a recruitment angle, so that's your lens, your experience, and your knowledge. So tell us a little bit about how you go about networking off LinkedIn and how then that translates to LinkedIn.
Well, first of all, thank you, Lynnaire, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and it's always great to see Roy and Sigrid. It's wonderful to meet you as well, and it's great to see so many people here, some old friends and some new friends, hopefully. For networking, for me, when I started networking, you gotta remember, and I'm showing my age here, I used to recruit without the internet. I know, it blows your mind. I actually had to put ads in the newspaper. I had to go to job fairs. I had to go knock on doors of stores and see if I found employees working there that were really good and convince them to work at the hotel. But what that taught me is it taught me how to approach people, what didn't work, what did work. And I had a vice president that gave me one of the best advices they ever gave me. Even though I thought he was crazy when he said it, he asked me, when's the best time to start recruiting for a position? And I said, logically, once it's open, as soon as I'm told it's open. He said, wrong. You should start recruiting for it the moment you fill it. And what he meant by that was start building relationships with potential candidates that might be a good fit in the future. That way, you're not going there for the ask. You're not trying to sell them on something that they're not looking for. It's more of, hey, I have an opportunity. I know we've talked in the past. Let me know if you have interest. And they're more likely to reciprocate and respond to you because you've already established a relationship, which it's very simple and basic, right? So that's where I learned the value of, okay, get to know people and who they are and be curious about them. Let them know what you do. And if they want to ask you about openings, great, but don't go in there with that ask right away. And what I also have done is, in real life meetings, I can't believe we actually have to say in real life meetings nowadays, but you have to, and, there are networks out there that are alive and well of interests that you probably have and may not even aware of. Now, human resources, there's a human resources society called SHRM. There's other ones out there as well. I belong to them. I participate. When they have local events in Washington, D.C., I attend them. That's where you get a chance to see people let their hair down, relax, show their true selves, and get to know the real person so that when you do talk about business, you already have that comfort level with them. And one of the things that I always say is when you look at things like recruitment or anything else, look at who are your ambassadors? If you do a survey, and there's stats out there that have proven this, and I can say from my own experience in hospitality, banking, education, and nonprofit, the one consistent number one resource for filling jobs has been employee referrals. That's a network of people that are supporting the business, that understand the job. And most people are not going to refer somebody that sucks, they're going to refer somebody that's good and makes them look good. But a lot of people don't tap into that network. So it's one of those things where it's tapping into those networks, even the ones that may seem a little unorthodox, because you might not realize how great it is. And then all that philosophy, I've kind of adopted it when I go into LinkedIn and use the same philosophy. When I get connection requests, if they send me a personalized message, I always respond with a message letting them know thank you and I ask them a question about something about them. If they don't have a message, I will ask them, it's like, what was it about my profile that made you reach out? And just let them tell me and then start the conversation. So it takes time to network, but if you do it right, the benefits are so valuable.
I would agree with that. Jordan Harbinger says you need to dig the well before you're thirsty. And as a gardener, The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And I think that that's very true with LinkedIn as well, because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint on LinkedIn. And one of the things that is very important, I think, is consistency. And so I would like to ask around that, because I was a member of BNI for a very long time, and in fact going to be joining an online meeting tomorrow, actually, courtesy of my friend Helen Mack. And one of the things that they're very big on was everybody showing up every week to meetings, and that consistency and value of building those relationships through consistency, I think, comes through to LinkedIn as well. So Roy, as the person who has the most experience with BNI, do you agree that that kind of consistency that we see in BNI is important on LinkedIn too?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe in these particular aspects. They all start with the letter C, the third letter of the alphabet. And needless to say, the first one is consistency. The second one is clarity. People need to be very clear as to what it is that you do. The third one is showing competency, showing that you're competent. It may not seem important, but when people want to work with other people, they want to know that you're competent. Mm-hmm. And then in tandem with that, they want to ensure that you're credible. So those are four key core values that are attached to my business, LinkedIn, BNI, my life, every aspect: consistency, clarity, competency, and credibility.
Wow, very easy to remember, the 3 C's. And four C's. Okay, I can't count, clearly. And I think that that's really super important, because if you're not consistent on LinkedIn, you're not showing up on a weekly, daily basis, preferably, then you're not going to get that cut through that you would otherwise, because with visibility so low on LinkedIn now, showing up in any kind of format, I think, is really important. And I'm not talking about showing up in content creation. I'm talking about showing up in different ways, talking about showing up in a live event like this, or getting into direct messaging with people. Those kind of things, even engagement on other people's posts, are all techniques that we can use to become or remain more visible on LinkedIn, which, of course, as we know, is becoming increasingly difficult. So Sigrid, in terms of what Roy has just said, how does that fit with what you see happening in your online networking group and with LinkedIn in general? Because everybody who is here on the stage today is, in fact, a regular contributor to LinkedIn in terms of content. We all put content up on a regular basis, maybe some less than others now because of the lack of visibility. But generally, we've all been here a while, and we've got some pretty good experience to share. So for you, Sigrid, are you seeing a drop in visibility like most of the rest of us? And then how are you counteracting that in terms of your networking?
So I actually am seeing an increase in visibility for my profile and for my posts and a newsletter that I send out there. So it's been gradual, but it's come week by week. I can see the data there, which is fantastic. I do consistently am active on LinkedIn, both or all over in the content creation and placing. I am active in connecting with people. I always connect and say hello and welcome with a video myself as well. And I always engage into communication. So when people want to connect with me and I send them my welcome video and then they come straight back with some offer of something or other, I tell them, hey, you're falling with the door into the house here. Stop. That's not the way to go. And that is exactly with networking and being visible and networking on LinkedIn. Now, there are some people who want to be spreading their eggs in all sorts of baskets, for a term that most people know. They don't want to be just in one group. Well, here's the thing. What you need to look at is, what is your strategic approach here? What do you actually want to achieve as an outcome? You can go from one networking group to another. And I have been in a couple of situations over the last week and a half or so where people come only once a month, perhaps, or where people go every week into a different group. Yes, that's one way of doing it. What do you want to achieve by doing so? You're not really going to get to know the people in the room at the time. You will need to do the hard work of creating a relationship outside of that particular networking event at the time. So the membership that I offer, and my direction and my idea, is get to know to the people in the group by being consistent. Now, not every way, because I do understand that is just a lot with all the other things we do. So mine is first and third Wednesday in the month. So that is twice a month, which is quite a bit. But of course, there's also that behind the scenes work to be done to get to know the people in detail. So in terms of LinkedIn, it is just fitting into the overall way we are using, or are best situated to use LinkedIn. Be consistent, create the relationship. And with networking, sure, you can hop around into different groups and pop up here and pop up there, but what is it you want to achieve by doing that? If you really want to grow your business and bring your brand out there and spread it, then you need to be in one group consistently, make commitment, and communicate with those people on a regular basis to get to know you. Like you said earlier, you've had that one conversation. Yes, I have been hearing from others who've done the same. They've had deeper conversations from the group, from the way we do that. And like I said, it's one part of my particular membership that I teach that as well. I work with people on how to best do that. So that online visibility through networking fits perfectly into the overall LinkedIn way of showing us off.
That makes a great deal of sense to me. And Felipe, we'll move on to you in just a minute, but we've got a question from Daniel about the videos that Roy does. Now, Sigrid's just said that she does them, and I do send them as well, but I don't send out individual ones. I just have a standard one that I send when somebody invites me to connect, rather than the other way around, because I don't want to come across as salesy. So, Roy, what would your suggestions be for Daniel? Key points to include in your video or welcome message?
Well, if I can maybe just say this, that it has a lot to do with the whole process. And the process is that when you see somebody that you want to connect with, first go and engage on their content so they can see that you're interested. So that's the first step that I do. And then when I connect with them, I send a personalized message and I reference some aspect of my engagement with them so they know why I'm connecting with them. And then to answer your question, when I send the video, I thank them so much for the connection. And then what I do is I say to them, I'm pretty consistent on LinkedIn. I hope you find my content interesting and insightful. I look forward to following yours. And then I tell them I've got a company page. And the last thing I say is, what can I do to help you? What's one thing that I can do to help you? So I think those are sort of the key points.
Do people respond to that, Roy? Do they give you something that's practical? Yeah.
Oh, very much so. I would say that there are the vast majority say, wow, I've never received a video message before. It's so weird because I'm doing it all the time. But that's the interesting part, is that what it does, it sets you apart. It gives you like a starting point. And guess what? Once you've sent that personalized message or video or voice call, whatever it might be, they start looking at what you're doing. And isn't that what we want to achieve? And that's really it. It's as simple as that.
Standing out from other people, doing things a bit differently in a positive way, I think makes a great deal of sense. And for me too, the video is a way of being able to get to know somebody a bit better, in the sense that they can see you moving and talking and using your hands and being enthusiastic or whatever. And they feel like they know you better than if it's just a text message. And so I think that there is a much more like a much higher likelihood of them remembering who you are if you sent that video message right at the beginning of the relationship. So Felipe, is this something that you do? Do you do video messages too?
I do very rarely. I should probably do them more because I do think I enjoy them. The thing about video messages, which I love, the audio messages, I like them a little bit less. And the only reason why is a video message, I'm inclined to watch it right away. An audio message, I don't know why, my brain, I'm like, oh, okay, I can listen to it later. And a lot of times I won't remember to go back. So I think the visual of the audio or the video message pops out, and I do like sending those, especially when it's, you want to make it be a little more important, or maybe just send a little bit more of a, hey, I just want to let you know how much I cared, and it just sends that message. So, but with consistency, I gotta say, for me, I've always thought about consistency because being in HR, I've had previous supervisors that have beat it into my head. Like, if we're not consistent, they're going to beat us up. I'm like, okay, stop beating me up about it. I get it. So, but I've always strived. And what LinkedIn taught me was be consistent, but you don't let it bully you into consistency, in the sense that I have how I want to consistently show up. I have what I consistently want to do, and I have how I want to consistently do it. So for example, I have not a content calendar per se, but through the week, Mondays, I have set for motivational things. Fridays are fun posts. Tuesdays are engagement video. I'm sorry, Wednesdays are engagement videos. Tuesdays would be about recruitment and HR. Thursdays would be about, I forget right now. But so did it mean I had to do something every day? No. But if I had something, I would try to do it on that day so that people would know, hey, he does videos on Wednesdays. I want to see if he has one today. But the other thing is the topics, the time, the format. I want to make sure that I'm talking about consistent topics, that I'm not all over the board talking about, oh, well, today I'm going to talk about Taylor Swift, and tomorrow I'm going to talk about building a car, and then tomorrow I'm going to talk about recruiting. It's like they don't know what I'm going to be talking about. Why are they going to show up? So I want to be consistent in the topics. I have my 4 pillars that I talk about: workplace wellness, I talk about careers, I talk about family, and I talk about recruitment and HR. So the other thing, though, is how I want to show up. And I think that's important for everyone to think about. How do you want to show up? And what are those messages that you want to do consistently when you show up? And ironically enough, this turned into almost like a mantra for me when I was having a weak moment and a few years ago, and it kind of helped me. It was a good reminder of things. And those 5 things that I'm consistent. I try to be consistent with are: try to always come across confident. To your point, Roy, earlier, you mentioned always come across curious, always come across grateful, come across compassionate, and come across tenacious as well. And those are the 5 things that I think I want to make sure people know that, hey, I'm going to be careful, I'm going to be compassionate, but I'm going to keep on going. I'm not going to be, stop. And the confidence part, that was more for reminding myself, hey, you have 31 years of experience in HR. You know what you're talking about. You should have confidence when you do talk about it. And that goes for everyone else. Whether it's 10 years, 5 years, 12 years experience, you have experience. Be confident in what you do know. And then if you get worried about what you don't know, be curious. We have so many resources. I mean, my God, you all can appreciate this. If I was curious when I was growing up, I had to go open up the Encyclopedia Britannica to figure out what I wanted to know. Now you all can do it in a heartbeat by ChatGPT or Google. So it's easier to be curious. And I don't think enough people do that. So that's really important to be consistent. So those are my 5 things. I know I always share Felipe's 5, but those 5 things really help guide me professionally, personally, and I think it's a good model to follow.
Oh, I agree. So we've got formulas from each of you. I need to develop one of my own. I confess I haven't got one. I just absorb all the information and ideas that come my way. And it's quite a lot of fun for me because I run these live streams so that I can learn as well as helping other people. And I think that really makes a difference because there is so much great information that other people have got. All the 3 of you, experts in your own areas, and from me and the people who are listening and watching can learn from all of that. And I think that ongoing learning is such an important thing, and a lot of people forget that LinkedIn is a learning platform as well. People like us are always sharing new information, new ideas, and I get a tremendous number of great ideas from members of my LinkAbility community who put out posts, and I go, wow, I'd never thought of doing that. That's a really cool idea. And then a couple of weeks later, then I'll do it in my own in my own way. And I think that kind of helps to build relationships too, although a little bit maybe more indirectly, but it does show other people, the people that you're getting those ideas from, if you credit them and then use them in your own way, that you appreciate what they do and what they've given to the relationship in some way or another. Because I really strongly believe that building the relationships on LinkedIn is such a great way to level the playing field now that we've got AI, so many fake profiles, and so many engagement pods, and on the top of that, automation. So my next round of questions to you.
I wonder if I could maybe just make one point. Is that you're talking about learning the whole time. There's one aspect that you've left out of this, is that we learn from you, and I'm a prime example. It's there are so many things that you've shown me, and I know many people have also seen it. So please just put yourself into the same category. You are also one that gives an enormous amount.
Well, thank you, Roy. That's very kind. And to that point, actually, I will just deviate, because this is something that goes back to what Felipe was saying, was about being confident. And when I first started using LinkedIn, I didn't know anything about the platform. I was a copywriter, had a copywriting business. And when I realized that LinkedIn had short form content available instead of the longer form articles that there'd only been up until that point, I realized that I could be putting information out there about what I knew about, which turned out to be about writing, surprisingly. And then over time, I started learning about LinkedIn and started writing about what I was learning about LinkedIn. And so I had no confidence in my own ability, but by talking about it on LinkedIn, writing about it on LinkedIn, other people weighed in, and I learned more, and I found other people who knew way more than I did. And my confidence grew along with my knowledge. So I think it can be a journey, and even if you don't know a lot about the topic that you want to learn about, sharing that journey on LinkedIn, which is part of the whole storytelling ethos, I think is a very good way to do it. Put it this way, it certainly worked for me. Right, I want to go on and talk about how we can spend our time building relationships in the face of AI, engagement pods, fake profiles, etc., which make being visible on LinkedIn much more difficult. We're not seeing the posts from people that we want to see in our feeds. And in fact, we're seeing a lot of content that may have absolutely no interest to us at all. Consequently, there's a kind of feeling maybe that, oh, what's the point? But I really strongly believe that LinkedIn is where business relationships can be built. And so I'd like to go around the room and ask you how you do that on LinkedIn, because it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes energy, discipline, and consistency too, Roy. So we'll start with you. How do we build those relationships on LinkedIn, over and above what you've already taught us about asking about other people and showing interest in them? What other techniques can we use?
Well, I think it comes back to one of the core values of BNI. It's called Givers Gain.
Yes.
And I think that for me, I work out what can I give before I'm going to get anything. So I give before I ask. Whereas I can't begin to tell you, and I'm sure that we'll all be nodding our heads, how many times we receive DMs asking for things.
Yes.
I can honestly say that every other day I get a DM saying, I have got this most amazing thing Here's a good one. Yesterday. Hi, Dan. My name's Roy, by the way. I'm so interested in this and this and this and this. Dan, my name is Roy. Now, the point I'm making is people lead with what they want. Scratch that off the list. Lead with how can I help you? What is it that I can do in some way to support you? And that for me is a key element across the platform of BNI, of networking, of LinkedIn, of business. It's the same in business. I don't go to a client and say, here's the solution. I say to them, what's your problem? What are your challenges? And once I know what the challenges are, then I can offer some solutions. So everything is a reverse engineer process across the platform. Is start at the outcome and work back rather than starting at the beginning by asking and offering things. Because don't forget this, once you've offered something, you can't go back and ask them what their problem was because you've already offered a solution.
Whether it's right or wrong. I'm a recovering copywriter, as you probably know, and one of the major concepts of being a good copywriter is writing for the audience, not for you. It's not what you want to say and you want to talk about, it's what your audience wants to hear. So that's exactly what you're saying, Roy, is put the person that you're talking to first and foremost and find out how you can help them rather than, hey, as you say, here's my great solution. Sigrid, how do you go about getting around this whole issue of time, having to reach out to people individually on LinkedIn and building those networks?
Roy just said 100%. And I think for me personally, key components are this connection to somebody and in the messaging, staying connected by asking questions. So, what do you do is the first thing I want to know more about. That if I don't understand it, I ask for clarification. I think we touched on that earlier. People are not clear, and you just said that very clearly. It's about the other person. So we need to know who are they, what do they do, and what exactly are they doing? Because often people will use some, what I call, higher sort of end professional type language that only they or the very specific group of people know, even though they don't want to target that group of people. And yet they don't seem to make the connection that if I don't know what the word means, why would I keep reading or wanting to know you? So getting to know somebody in messaging as much as I can, suggesting an actual Zoom call to get to know them more deeper. And one thing also is when I feel there is a connection or a synergy with somebody, something that I like doing is inviting them for an interview so that I can ask them on what they do, because that does what you're saying earlier here. We all learn when we are talking to other people. So I learn a lot from the person. The audience that we are showcasing it to learns, and the person themselves learns how being asked sits with them, and they learn how to answer better and better the more often they do that. Some people early in their business struggle sometimes answering questions because they hadn't thought of that angle that comes from me in a question. So it really is about being prepared to connecting with people. Yes, of course, I want to sell my offers. We all do. That's what we're here for. Be clear what the offer is. So if I do send a message and I want to make an offer, I say, this is about me offering something. Are you okay with that? And that's always taken up well. Unlike some people who just connect and then bang, the offer goes into your inbox, into your message. I don't like that. And I don't do that. So keeping that real personal connection going. And no AI can do that in that way. I don't know. Maybe eventually they can. Who knows? They have got their eyes and ears everywhere. But right now, in video particularly, we come through real.
I agree. It's going to change very quickly. I was on a call with someone this morning talking about how those things are going to change very, very quickly. I mean, let's just look at what's happened with ChatGPT 5. Just this week, I got it connected to my Dropbox where all our files are kept. And now it can give me a whole range of things that I couldn't ever use it for before, which is just a huge leap forward for me. But I don't want to be talking about AI. I want to ask Felipe, could you put on your candidate's hat for me and go and talk about this from job seekers' point of view, because you talked about earlier about when you should be starting to look for your next candidate in a role. What about candidates? How do they use networking on LinkedIn, and should they be using it only, which is what I find, when they are job hunting, or should they be doing it in the same way that you talked about from an HR perspective?
Yes, and I say this next sentence very carefully as an HR professional, but I'm not going to say start looking for a job as soon as you get one. That's not the message I want to send, but start building relationships and start networking with people in your field. And those connections might be the person that you might reach out to when you need that next opportunity. But I always say 3 things I always tell candidates is comment, ask, and learn. Comment on other people's posts, ask questions about something that you didn't understand, and then thank them for what you learned and share what you learned. Because I think all of us on stage can agree, when someone says, I learned something from you, thank you, that is such a gift to us. That's like, thank you. That is one of our goals, is to be able to share something that you found valuable. But being relevant, when I talk about commenting, asking, it sounds like you're supporting that person's post, that engagement, and all that stuff. It's a good way to stand out. Not if you just say good posts or thank you. I don't remember anyone that's ever said that to me on my post. I do remember the ones that wrote a meaningful comment or asked a meaningful question, and I think that's so important. But here's the other thing that I encourage people is, if you start doing any of that and the person responds, sometimes they go quiet. I'm like, wait, your engagement worked and they responded to you and now you're scared to respond back? No, don't let that fear stop you. It means it worked and that person is curious about you. One of the things I try to do with my new connections, and that's why I always encourage people, if someone invites you to something and it doesn't cost you anything and it's easy for you to do it. It's an opportunity. If they invited you to an event, hey, I'd like to invite you to this event that we're having in person. Or what I do with my connections is every time I have a live event, I have ones on Sundays, Mondays, and Saturdays. I always invite the previous people that attended individually on the invite. And then I go to my most recent connections and I invite them and I send them a DM saying, hey, I know we're a new connection, just a chance for you to learn more about what I offer, and maybe it's something that you might find valuable. But that invite, it's like being invited to a party. How many people have you heard say, well, you didn't invite me. Well, I thought you couldn't come. Well, yes, but it's nice to be invited. That mentality still lives. People want to be invited, and they're more likely to come if you do invite them. When you spray and just hope and pray, you might as well rent an airplane to throw out flyers in the ground and hope that someone shows up. So I think candidates just need to make sure that they are putting themselves out there. Don't be afraid to respond. And if somebody invites you, take that up on the offer. Just make sure it's a safe offer.
Yeah, well, there's a whole range of interesting things happening in that department, of course, for the job search area. We don't normally talk a lot about that because we're business owners, and so we tend to be focused on that, which is why it's good to have you with us today to give us a different perspective on this through the recruitment side. So
Can I have one more thing, Lynnaire, real quick for candidates?
Indeed.
If you are using AI, and I know it's all out there, that AI is not going to help you stand out per se if you are letting it create the messages for you. For example, I get a lot of messages from people on LinkedIn. I immediately know who used AI because they didn't customize it. They just let AI write it. Well, guess what? A lot of the messages start off with the exact same sentence, and it tells me that you didn't put anything of value into this. You just let it do it for you. So there's another opportunity for you to stand out. Let AI polish it up maybe, but let it be your words. because that's going to help them stand out. If the recruiter sees that they have the standard first sentence, they might ignore you.
And it's not going to be helpful if they call you Dan either, is it?
No. Or if on the top of your resume you say, I'm looking to apply at this company and it's an ABC company, well, we're XYZ.
Yes, that kind of personalization, I think, is something that most people, excuse me, tend to forget about. And it is the one thing that stands out. Now, I'm a great user of people's names when I'm talking to people and when I am writing to them. I don't find a lot of people do the same, and I understand that. My name's a bit weird. It's difficult to spell. And why, if you can take a shortcut, why would you not? But I do think that personalization and talking about something that is on somebody's profile that stands out to you. And when I'm doing profile makeovers, I'm always suggesting to people that they add something that is personal to them that other people might have a synergy with. So for me, that's often around gardening, because that's my thing, as most of you know, when I'm not on LinkedIn. And so I think that putting something in there that people can grab and they can go, oh, yes, I'm interested in this, or I understand that you're interested in that too, and da-da-da. And that really helps build those relationships because it makes you memorable. And I think it's really important to put something somewhere that people can nab or can actually grab hold of if they're looking at your profile, because we all know that everything we do on LinkedIn is underpinned by our profiles, and people will, if they're interested in us, go and have a look. So we need to be doing something there that I think stands out and does make us memorable, whether that's a video, whether that's something about your particular hobby, whether that's something like you've got in the background there, Felipe, with the cover of your new children's book, something that makes you different. And I think that we all tend to forget about that. All right, so I want to wrap up with a final round asking about measuring success. Now, Sigrid's already said that she, unlike most of us, and I'm very, very annoyed by this, is getting greater views and engagement on her content. And to be fair, I think Roy probably is as well. And that, of course, takes place over time and making sure that you're reaching the right audience. But take that away, and if you're not using the analytics around views and around engagement and those kind of things, how can we measure success without relationship building on LinkedIn? What does that look like, and how do we use that to help us springboard the relationship or building our networks generally? Roy, have you got some ideas around this one?
I can. I just think that, I want to first of all qualify that I don't, Sigrid, you got to be the only person in the whole of LinkedIn that's getting more engagement. I don't know of anybody, and including myself, that is getting more engagement than before. All of us have had a drop off engagement. As I say, you have to be the only person on LinkedIn and 1 billion people that are getting it. So good luck. Well done. I think that, the important aspect that I wanted to particularly highlight and share is that don't give up. Don't think, I'm not getting engagement. No, that's it. I'm out of here. You just got to keep going, because, and I'm going to relate it back to one story. Is about 2 months ago, I got a phone call from somebody that said, I want to, purchase something from you, whatever it was. And I said, that's interesting. How did you get hold of me? They said, I've been following you for 7 years, and now I'm ready to purchase. And he said to me this. He said, you are consistently creating content, so therefore you have remained front of mind for me for all these years. And that's the key element, is that you got to keep going. You got to keep creating content. You got to keep engaging with other people's content. I have a formula that I'm going to share. The way I do it with a lot of my business related things is I do it like this. I say, my client had this particular problem. I use this particular solution to solve this problem for my client. And here was the outcome for them. If that resonates with you, we should be talking. And I do that consistently. So how do I measure this? I measure it by the amount of DMs I get relating to what I do. And yes, I don't get anywhere near what I think I could be getting. But every now and again, I get a phone call like I did, or an email that somebody says, I saw you. I bump into someone in the lift on the way up in a building, and someone says, I follow your beach videos every Saturday. And I generally will say, but I've never seen you engage. They say, well, we don't, but we follow them every single week. So there's my final message. Don't give up.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And it's true. A lot of people see what we do, but they don't engage. And I'm working with a client currently who was referred to me by somebody I've been connected to on LinkedIn for a number of years and haven't had a DM, which is really terrible on my part, but haven't had any kind of contact with for 3 or 4 years. And yet he's recommending me to his client and they've become my client. So as you say, Roy, don't give up. There are a lot of people out there who don't engage. We tend to call them lurkers, but they are seeing what we do, even if we don't know about that. So Sigrid, what would you be measuring success by if it wasn't for the fact that you're already doing so well with all of your content? And we want to know the secret of that, by the way. Oh.
Absolutely happy to share that. I totally agree with Roy. The success is in the DMs, not necessarily the comments you're getting on a post, but of course the comments go hand in hand with being visible, so that you post your newsletter, whatever, goes more through the feed so that it can be seen. The key for me is to write my posts in my personal style. And that is, I put quite a few posts out recently, and I admit I haven't always done it. I don't always stick to it, but I know the power of it very clearly because recently it has shown me that the clarity, what you address, how you address the people you really want to get noted by, the people that you are there for, where you have an offer for, address them clearly, make your whole content about them and what they are looking for, and clearly describe what it is, not only that you offer, but how you offer it. So not giving away secrets, which sometimes as people are afraid of. That's not what I'm saying. It's about giving a slight insight into the process that you use to get the person to where they want to be with your expertise. And what that does for me and how I can measure success is that I do get DMs. They're not showing up on the post or the newsletter itself, but they come into the inbox and they say, hey, I'm interested in this. I want to know more. Hey, how can I take part in this? That is the success that comes from when you have a way of writing clearly and specifically for the people that you have an offer for, what the offer is, make the offer, and be really clear on at least a couple of steps how you would take them there. That's my framework, and that would be my tip.
Fantastic. Thank you. Felipe, it's a bit different, I imagine, for you to be measuring success. How do you do that?
Well, there's a couple of ways. One way has always been the success of filling jobs. I've had success filling jobs by the posts I've created, the engagement. I've had people that I've interviewed. I'm like, so tell me what made you apply for this job? Well, I saw your YouTube videos that you did on LinkedIn and on YouTube and you talking about the company, and it just really enticed me to apply. So that's been a huge success where I've been able to get every place I've been at down to 0 openings because we've been able to fill the jobs quickly. But also, I'd be lying if selling books and selling as many books that I have already, that's another way of measuring success as well, because it's been effective. But for me, the engagement on my posts, I'm actually on Sigrid's side. Mine have actually been going up as well. But I've also had to acknowledge that I've had a lot of big announcements lately. My daughter got engaged. I have wrote a book. So there have been some big announcements that have helped. But we also have to remember, I'm HR. Do you know how many times I hear people say, yeah, I don't engage because I don't want my company seeing me engage with an HR person because they might think I'm leaving. I hear that consistently, but they always tell me. So that's why the views matter to me. Hearing someone say, hey, I used your idea at work and they're going to implement it as a workplace wellness idea, love it. Or, hey, your coaching ideas worked and I got this job and the interview tips helped. That to me is the best success, is when I know that someone got something. I don't care if they liked or engaged. If they got value out of it, that to me is the best success. But I'd be lying if I said the success of filling jobs is a huge one, and I don't want to lose that because that's always been there. And the last thing I'll say is, well, two things. The lurkers, like those ones that I have a lot of them. I call them learners. They're out there quietly learning. So they're learners that are quiet, and I'm okay with that. And the last thing I'll say is how I measure my success is how much have I learned from my failures. If I didn't learn anything from my failures, then there's something missing there. But to me, if I learned a lot from my failures, it was still a success.
Yeah, it's a real pity we have to make so many mistakes, isn't it, to be able to learn. Really, it drives me up the wall, but I absolutely agree. And
life would be a lot more boring if that happened. It'd be very boring if we didn't have mistakes.
Yeah, well, that is very true. I know this question has just popped up into the comments from Mike, and I wondered if you would like to have a quick stab at this one, because it is given the general age of those of us on the call today, I think this might well be relevant, and it's something that does seem to be quite topical at the moment, along with engagements. So do you have any ideas for Mike about how to counteract ageism? Because I think this is a really interesting question that others might have want to know as well.
It's a real thing, and I think that I need to do a post or a show about this, because it's alive and well. And as I get older, I have experienced it at some levels, because so much experience on your resume, people make assumptions. But number one tip, don't bring it up. I know so many people that bring it up. Well, I know I'm older, so my age might be an issue. I wasn't even thinking about that until you brought it up. Please do not bring it up, because most people are not. And like I said earlier, let it be a confidence builder. You have confidence in those 40 years of experience. Go in there and say, I can help you because I have experience, and be confident in that. Just don't take that confidence away by bringing up the age, because it's already putting that doubt and planting that seed.
Well, that's a very good idea, and I thoroughly agree. I don't tend to talk about it a lot either. I prefer to demonstrate my knowledge of what I do know, rather than have people sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, look at her grey hair. Happens to like my grey hair, so there you go. Quickly around the room, I want to say thank you to everybody, but a quick, where's the best plan? And I know you're going to say LinkedIn, all of you. Where's the best place to get more information about what you do? Please, if you are in the audience and you haven't connected to Roy, Sigrid, or Felipe, please go ahead and do that. Reference the fact that you were here today, so that you can show that you have listened to what's being said. Roy, where else can people find you apart from on Bondi Beach on Saturday mornings?
They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very invested in LinkedIn, just for what it's worth. And I do have a company page that is very active. It's called Out There Branding, and I'd welcome. You might recognize it over here. I would welcome a follow of it. I don't use it as a means to sell, but rather as a means to share branding and marketing insights and tips that I've accumulated through the years of working with Fortune 500 companies, as well as small and medium-sized businesses. So that's where I am, and I'm very responsive. Don't try and sell things to me, because it's not going to work. I'm a salesperson. Rather try and build some relationships. And my name is Roy, not Dan, by the way.
Thank you, Roy. And just a reminder, if you want a backdrop like mine, you'd better call Roy. Sigrid, one last thing from you. Where can people find you, as well as on LinkedIn, of course?
Look, I really do make LinkedIn my home at all times, and I do put my LinkedIn profile link always into everything when I am being interviewed, when I'm out there, when I'm all the time put that in, because I find that's the best place to connect. I'm not so much into using a calendar meetup things like that, because I'm very flexible in who and when I want to meet with somebody. I don't like the staticness of a calendar to stick to certain times. That's why I'm often really easily available. So use LinkedIn, jump onto my profile. I've got my contact details there. Connect with me. Send me a message when you connect. Makes it much easier for me straight away to know where you may have seen me or so. But definitely LinkedIn. I have really pulled back from all the other social media places at this point in time. My focus is here. I find it the best value for input.
I would agree with that. So thank you, Sigrid. And Felipe, we can find you on Amazon with your new book.
Yes, definitely you can find me on Amazon for the new book. And so I'd love if anyone purchased it. It's a great book for kids and parents to read, and there's more to come out. Obviously, you can find me here on LinkedIn as well. It is my home away from home, and then it will continue to be. But you can also find me on YouTube. I house all my videos on YouTube. I have my playlists for workplace wellness, careers, chaos, and coaching, Sister Saturday Chat, and Felipe's 5. And I also have one for the book, because I did create there's a song that goes with the book, and there's also a little cartoon video coming out soon. So YouTube, I do like to have that, because as we always say, LinkedIn's rented space. If it ever disappeared, I like to have my videos somewhere, hopefully, except for just my phone. But yeah, so that's where you can find me, as always. And thank you again, Lynnaire, for a wonderful evening. Roy and Sigrid, it was wonderful hanging out with you all. And I hope to do it again soon.
Well, we would very much like to have you back. And I apologize that I now look like my team member Cher. Something went really strange, and I dare not play with it in case I make it any worse. So I just want to say thank you very much to Roy, to Sigrid, and Felipe for joining us today on our LinkAbility Insights live stream and sharing such valuable information with us. We really do appreciate the fact that you've given up your valuable time today to do that. And we'll be repurposing this content from today, and you'll be able to find more of that on our linkability.biz website. And if you would like to really get involved in a community that shares good value, then I would thoroughly recommend that you talk to us at LinkAbility and find out more about that. We offer a free week at linkability.biz to learn more about our community. All right, since I have disappeared, everybody else had better disappear as well. Thank you, everybody, again for joining us. We'll be back in a fortnight for another LinkAbility Insights live stream. We'll see you then. Bye for now.